So, Pokemon cards, am I right? I don't think you need me to tell you that these little pieces of cardboard have gotten just a bit out of hand. Now, I was under the assumption that we had seen the worst of it back in 2021. I remember around this time, stores began putting purchase limits on cards, and Target even stopped selling them for a while due to safety risks. That's insane. And all this culminated, or so I thought, with the release of Evolving Skies in August 2021. Now, just as a frame of reference, it isn't really that uncommon for newer rare cards to reach low 3-digit numbers, but 4 digits? That's usually reserved for PSA 10s of super limited promos, but enter Evolving Skies with this little piece of work, Umbreon VMAX Alternate Art Secret Rare, more commonly known as Moonbreon, because it looks like he's trying to play with the moon. Now isn't that just adorable? So adorable in fact that this card is infamously sold for values like $1,200 ungraded, and the PSA 10 is over $2 grand. Like, okay, let me put this into perspective. Over the past couple years, I've been selling the vast majority of my Pokemon collection. Don't get me wrong, I like a lot of these cards, but I also like having money. One of the rarer cards I had was this Full Art Pikachu promo, released to commemorate the 15th anniversary of the first Pokemon Center store in Japan back in June 2013. And after sitting in a binder doing literally nothing for over a decade, I finally decided to get it graded. And after receiving my PSA 10 card, I sold it to a collector for $1,700. Now that sounds like a lot of money for cardboard, because it most certainly is. This card was only available for a very brief period of time in limited quantities in Japan over a decade ago. Yet the value of this card with the literal highest PSA grade is only marginally higher than this random ass Umbreon from 2021 ungraded. And with the same grade as the Pikachu I sold, good old Moonbreon is even more valuable. Pardon my language here, but that is just bananas. But okay, maybe people just really like Umbreon, but here's the thing about that. This Umbreon VMAX got a reprint not even a year later in the set Brilliant Stars, and the art on this card is arguably just as good, with Karen even being featured. Now this card is admittedly less rare from what I can tell, but it's worth only a fraction of Moonbreon's value. Maybe it really is just Umbreon together with the moon that gets people buying? Honestly, I don't know. Now I used to play competitive Pokemon way back in the day, so to me a card's worth was always pretty closely linked to whether it was competitively viable. And that's probably why it's been fairly easy for me mentally to sell most of my costly cards. Like sure, I owned a complete Mario Pikachu set, all PSA 9s and 10s, but none of these cards are even remotely as valuable to me as Plasma Storm Donphan, which is a 30-cent card, but also the card that won me my first World Championships invitation back in 2015. And that's basically why for me the Mario Pikachu set gets sold, and Donphan gets framed and put on my dresser. And that's also why I haven't really been into collecting these days. I don't actively play anymore, so it's been harder for me to form connections to the cards releasing. But remember how I said I thought we had seen the worst of TCG mobs back in 2021? Well, I stand corrected on that, because enter Prismatic Evolutions. Now from a player's perspective, it seems to all be about Badoo. I mean, item lock turn 1 for no energy, that just sounds like a joy to play against. But if you're a collector, things may be a bit different. There's EV-EX, who admittedly could see some competitive play, a new Full Art Lacey, pretty popular character, bound to be a bit pricey, and of course, oh no.
He's back. He's back!
Okay, so apparently all you need to do is put Umbreon on a card with the moon, and people at Costco will get into fistfights over it. And like, I didn't even know Costco sold Pokemon cards. But here's footage of the Pokemon section at my local Target. It's pathetic. They have this Terapagos box for over $100, a single Halloween pack no one bought, and a bunch of these Palafin boxes. I guess people just don't like Palafin. Maybe you need to put it in front of the moon or something. Or better yet, just replace it with the actual superhero of the sea. You know who I'm talking about. So lo and behold, I had basically stayed away from all of this TCG madness. That was until, as if by fate, something seemingly insignificant happened. So I've been doing a lot of cleaning up lately, and buried deep in a drawer were 5 McDonald's gift cards, ranging in year from 2009 to 2015. What's even crazier than that though, was a set of McDonald's gift certificates from, get this, the 2004 Olympics. Like, to put that in perspective, the very first Olympics that Mario and Sonic competed in, so basically the first one that mattered, was in 2008. Also, apparently the 2004 Olympics had mascots, and they looked like this. You ever question if God exists? Like, this one's for a salad, and McDonald's doesn't even have those anymore. But as if by fate, mere days before this incredible discovery, McDonald's came out with a brand new line of Pokemon Happy Meals featuring an all-new mini set, Dragon D's Dragon Discovery. And sure, I knew this collab was happening, but I didn't really feel any incentive to go. Admittedly, I'm not the biggest McDonald's fan out there. I mean, it's fine, but to me it's just the place you go when it's 1 AM and you're at the train station and nothing else is open. And as we've already established, I'm not super into the TCG collecting scene, but finding these gift cards, this felt like destiny. So I wrangled up some friends and headed out to my local McDonald's, which used to look like this, and now looks like it was built in Minecraft. Also, because my gift cards were so old they didn't even have pins, we couldn't order on the app or kiosk, so we were probably the first customers they've had in a while who had to order the old-fashioned way. So, sorry, these are 5 gift certificates. I don't know if you guys can still take them. This is from the 2004 Olympics. Yeah. Honestly, I was so distracted by the gift certificate situation that I didn't even process the fact that 4 adults going to McDonald's and ordering 5 Happy Meals could kind of be seen as embarrassing. I'm just kind of numb to it at this point. And yes, I got 2 Happy Meals for myself because apparently each pack only had 4 cards in it, and I'm impulsive and irresponsible. Now, actually sitting down with these meals, I was pretty impressed with the presentation of it all. Our Happy Meal boxes had Rayquaza on them, there were little activity sheets included, which I took completing way too seriously, and even the apple slices had Pokemon branding, though they kinda missed an opportunity given that dragons were a common theme and they didn't use any of the 4 dragon apple Pokemon, but let's face it, it's all about the cards, and maybe the food too, I guess. I don't know, it was mid, 2 big booms or whatever, but who cares, card time. Yo, we got Dragon Guy, Umbreon, Puffy Thing, Quagsire. Wait, hold on a minute. It's Umbreon and the moon. Had I really just pulled one of the fabled Moonbreon? I can't wait to see how much this is worth. I guess everything I knew was a lie. Also in my second pack I pulled a holo Pikachu, but all 3 commons were the same. Hold on. Calling shenanigans. Anyway, shout out to my friend Sean for trading his Hatena for one of my Jigglypuff. Fun fact, he also made the intro music for this channel. And no, of course buying him a Happy Meal wasn't all I did to compensate him for his work. I also let him use my Big Mac coupon. After leaving McDonald's, we decided to visit a local game store that was in the same shopping center. And fun fact, this was the place where I first started playing the TCG like 12 years ago now, though the store was in a different location back then. It was cool to see just how many Pokemon singles they had, since back in the day, the only singles they sold were Magic. Also, yep, they were out of Prismatic Evolutions too, go figure. But they did have a full art Noctowl for only $2, and you know how much I love this guy. I actually already had this card in both Japanese and Chinese, but not English funny enough, so I figured for $2 it was worth a purchase. And when I was checking out, I realized the man behind the counter was the same one who was always working there all those years ago. I actually didn't even recognize him at first because it had been so long, and also he had a beard now, but I instantly recognized his voice. And he didn't recognize me either until I mentioned my full name, and he did the whole "oh my god, you're so much taller" thing people do. Which, you know what? Fair. The last time we had seen each other, I think I was like 14. It was both a surreal experience and a super nostalgic trip down memory lane, and was definitely not what I was expecting after McDonald's. But not only is it something I won't forget, but something I'll think of every time I look at this card. Man, there really are a lot of stories behind these, huh? Like the Sigilif is a secret rare version of the card I used to win my first ever local back in 2012. These Japanese base set cards I got from a draft organized by legendary TCG player Jason Klaczynski. I was so proud of myself for being the only kid who made the top cut, and I actually ended up losing in top 8 to Jaywitz, my childhood hero. And this fan-made card was given to me by Ash's original voice actor Veronica Taylor back at Fan Expo 2017. Not all these cards have stories stories, some just look cool or have interesting history behind them, like this official Topps movie card that calls Meryl Peekaboo. And some cards just make me laugh, like Cool Porygon, he's so cool. But just because a card is worth $1 doesn't mean I'll get any less value out of it than a card worth $100. And honestly, I think that's the kind of mindset that makes collecting fun in the first place. If I really wanted a Moonbreon, I could get it. Like, there's nothing necessarily stopping me except the inevitable buyer's remorse, cause let's face it, I would have just spent thousands of dollars on cardboard. But even if that Moonbreon has a high monetary value, I don't think it would be worth as much to me personally as the one I pulled at McDonald's with some of my closest friends, with a Happy Meal we paid for with coupons from the 2004 Olympics. One of these cards may be shiny, but another tells a story. Now that's not to say a card's monetary value never means anything to me. Like the Full Art Pokemon Center Pikachu I mentioned earlier, I really like this card, but I just didn't 4 digits like it. And at the same time, I have valuable cards I wouldn't sell, like my set of Champions Festivals I earned from making it to Worlds from 2015 to 2018. Like, no way in hell am I ever selling these. And similarly, I can't see myself ever selling this Noctowl I just bought. Maybe the Japanese or Chinese variants I have, sure. But whenever I see this card, I'll be reminded of that little unexpected wave of nostalgia that hit me upon reconnecting with people from my past. If you're someone who collects cards, or anything really, and takes pride in their monetary value, that's perfectly fine. But don't feel the need to shell out copious amounts of money on something just because others say it's what you should care about. Maybe you really like Umbreon, but maybe you really like, I don't know, Silcoon. Collect the things that have meaning to you, the ones that invoke a story, or just things you personally like, and who knows, perhaps a memory will form soon after. And it doesn't matter if that memory is an invite to the World Championships or just a simple trip to McDonald's, because oftentimes, it's more than just how rare or shiny a card is, it's the power that's inside.